Hello there guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about a new lens from Sony, a very interesting lens actually, very interesting lens. I'm going to be talking about Sony's new FE lens, their 12-24 f2.8 G Master lens. So this is an ultra premium wide angle zoom lens. It's selling for $29.98, so have that in mind, it's $3,000. Now, when there were first rumors about the lens, I was a bit skeptical because there hasn't been any 12-24mm f2.8 on the market ever. So when they announced it, I was kind of blown away actually, because this is the first of its kind. Like I said, there hasn't been any 12-24 f2.8 on the market ever. The closest was a 12-24 f4 which Sony has, by the way. Sony has a 12-24 f4. And now they launched a 12-24 f2.8. Canon also has an 11-24, but that one is f4, not 2.8. And then you have the Sigma and Nikon 14-24s, but those ones started at 14, not 12. So this one is very interesting lens, but of course it's very pricey. It's $3,000. It's pretty expensive, and that was kind of to be expected, of course. Back then the rumors were that it's going to be about 4,000, so it's a little bit cheaper than the rumored price when it first was rumored. So $3,000, that's a lot of money. But I still give props to Sony for coming up with this lens, because this lens, like I said, it's the first of its kind, and it seems to be pretty great. I've already seen some reviews and stuff. It doesn't seem to be as great as the 16-35 2.8. which is very awesome. That lens is very awesome. One of the best Sony lenses, by the way. One of the best G Master lenses, period. This one does not seem to be as good as that one, but then again, it's wider angle. But I don't really see a point of 2.8 at this wide of an angle, because at 12mm, most of the things are going to be in focus anyway, and you're not going to have much background blur. So I think Sony released this lens mostly for astrophotography, I guess. For astrophotographers, this lens would be really nice, but for everyday users, this lens would be would really be overkill. The f4 is almost half the price of this one, so there's that. Actually, let me check the f4 version. How much is it selling? Actually, let's see how much the 12-24 is selling for. So we have right here the 12-24. So yeah, it's selling for $1,773. So the 2.8 version is selling for more than $1,000 more. So for $1,000 plus dollars, you can get the 12-24 2.8. Is it really that much better? I don't think so. It's a little bit sharper, yeah. It doesn't have as much flare and stuff like that. But then again, for the price difference, you can just get a Tamron lens, for example. Like you can get, for example, the Tamron 24. Or should I say 28-75 or the 70-180. I don't think this lens is really worth that much more. As for the size, it is a little bit heavier and bigger, of course. The weight for this lens is 847 grams, so it's a little bit more heavier than the Sigma 14-24. The Sigma is 795 grams, I believe. This one is a little bit heavier. And it's a little bit longer as well as it also has a bigger front element. It has 17 elements in 14 groups, which is kind of surprising. I was expecting a little bit more elements, but it actually has less elements at the Sigma. So that's why, from what I've seen the reviews, it seems to have better low light performance, better transmission because of the lower elements. So that's why it's better than the Sigma in low light. It also, of course, has a bulbous element, so you have to use a gel filter in the rear. It has 9 rounded diaphragm blades, and of course it's 2.8. So compared to the f4 version, I mean, the f4 version is pretty great. This is one of the best wide-angle lenses for mirrorless systems, period. In comparison, the f4 has 7 rounded blades, so it has two less blades. It has the same number of elements, which is pretty interesting actually. It weighs 565 grams, so the f4 version is more than 300 grams lighter than the f2.8 version, and it also is much more cheaper as well. So there's that. And here's a better view with the size comparison. So we have right here the Sony f4 12-24. the Toughts 24-28, and then we have the Sigma right here. So as you can see, the Sony is obviously the biggest one of them all. It's obviously it's the widest, and it has the 2.8 aperture, so that's to be expected. But it's not really that much bigger than the F4 version. But like I said, is it really worth it to waste over $1,000 more for the 2.8 version? I don't think it's worth it. I mean, unless you're an astrophotographer or you really need that super low light performance, I don't think this lens is really going to be any better than the Sigma. I have heard from reviews that the Sigma is pretty great, and the Sigma is selling for about half of what the Sony is. The Sigma is actually cheaper than the F4 as well. The Sigma, let's see how much the Sigma is selling actually right now. Let's see, Sigma 14-24. I'm using the US prices, of course. Here in Portugal it's going to be more expensive because of the tax laws and stuff. But we can check here the US prices. So yeah, the Sigma is selling for $13.99. So it's a lot cheaper than both Sonys, especially the 2.8. It's a lot cheaper than the 2.8 Sony, and it's also cheaper than the F4. And mind you, it's better than the F4, of course. The Sony 2.8 might be better than the Sigma. I've already seen reviews. It is better than the Sigma. It is a little bit sharper and stuff. But then again, you can check the price. It's almost double the price of the Sigma. So I think if you really do not need those 2 extra millimeters at the wide end, I think the Sigma will be a much better option because it's a lot cheaper. For the price of the Sony, you can get the Sigma 14-24 2.8 and one more lens, you can get the 24-70 as well. So you can get both the Sigma 14-24 and 24-70 for the price of the Sony, or you can get the whole trio of Tamron E-mount lenses, the 28-75, the 70-28, and the 70-180 for the price of the Sony 2.8. So for the price of one lens, you can either get 3 Tamron lenses or 2 Sigma lenses. So I don't really see the point of this lens. I think this lens was really not necessary. The Sony is mostly lacking on the telephotos. They really need more affordable telephotos. I don't really see a point for this lens. I think this is really just for bragging rights to say that they have the widest f2.8 zoom on the market. But then again, Canon is going to be releasing in the future an even wider lens, most likely. They have patented for the 14-21 f2, I believe. So yeah, I don't really see the point of this lens. It's pretty expensive. If it was a little bit cheaper, okay, but it's very expensive, and it doesn't seem to be any much better than the 16-35, which is a pretty good lens. So unless you really need that extra wide angle zoom focal length, I don't see much of a point to buying this over the 16-35, which is a pretty great lens. Right here, $21.98. So it's almost $1,000 cheaper than the 14-24. The advantage that this one has is that it is internal zooming, so it does not extend. The 16-35 unfortunately extends, but yeah, there's that. I mean, I think the 16-35 is will still be a better deal than the 12-24, or you can get the 16-35 f2.8 and wait for Sony to release a G Master Prime lens. I think Sony should have released a wide angle 12mm f1.8 or something like that. I think that would have been better, because for astrophotography you're not really going to need a zoom. I think a prime lens will be more than enough for astrophotography. So Sony might as well have released a G Master Prime lens instead of this. But still, I'm not going to give Sony much hate here, because it still is the first of its kind. It still is the first 12-24 f2.8 on the market. So props to Sony for coming up with this lens. It's also not really that large. I was kind of expecting it to be much larger actually. They have managed to keep it really not that large, so it's kind of small for its specs. So there's that. So overall, it seems to be a great lens if you have the money. But I don't really see a point in buying this one over the Sigma 14-24. It's very expensive, so unless you really need that 12mm and that 2.8 aperture, I think the Sigma will be a much better value for the money and better option. But like I said, props to Sony for coming out with this. Now, all that Sony needs right now is the Sony a7S III. So let's hope Sony continues to innovate in that regard. Let's hope the a7S III is just as good as this one is. but let's hope that it doesn't cost an arm and a leg like this lens does. So yeah, that was pretty much my take on the new Sony FE 12-24 f2.8. Very expensive lens. Sure, it's pretty great. It's a very appealing lens, but it's very expensive, and I think it's pretty much overkill for most users, unless you're really into astrophotography. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like my work and want to support me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll be coming back with more videos in the future as well. When Sony finally releases the A7S II successor, I will do a follow-up video. So I'll do a video as well when they announce that camera. And let's hope, like again, that Sony delivers with the A7S II successor, because we really need better cameras, because the market is shrinking, and if cameras do not improve on this, I think the market is pretty much going to be dead, and many companies are going to end up being bankrupt or going to go out of business. So let's hope for the best. Thank you guys for watching, and Unholy-OMEGA signing out. See you in the next video.